Okay, so this is the crate you'll be receiving when you receive your new DTF-MINI printer. And it's got two latches here. You'll just have to snip off the tie wraps, and then you can open it up, cut this off, and then as you open it, it'll have two handles. And you can actually just lift that out and then place it onto a table. So when you first receive this machine, it's going to come with parts on the side. It's got a front and back part. It's got a part for your rollers, and it also comes with an extra controller box. Inside the machine, we'll start from the left panel. You're going to press down on this, pop this open, press back nice and easy. Do not press too hard or you could break it. And you're going to go inside here, and this is where your control panels are that we'll go through later. But you're going to pull out your rollers. So you just pull out the rollers. There's a package of rollers here. You can pull those out. And now there's nothing left inside here, so we just close that for a minute. You can close that back up. You're going to open up the front. Inside you'll have a package of screws, a syringe, some extra dampers and stuff like that. It'll be a package of supplies with it. And then as you lift this up, you're going to have all of your containers for your ink. Just set those aside. You're also going to have your waste, your ink waste container here. And then you can just remove this piece of foam here and discard that. And then you'll have some tape here. You're going to remove the tape from your sliders. Also on your belt, you'll have a little tie wrap. You're going to need to untie that. So just take a pair of wire cutters or something and cut it very carefully off without touching the actual belt. So make sure that when you cut through this, you do not cut the belt. Just going to cut that a little more, and there we go. So just watch when you're cutting it, you do not cut the belt as well. And then just take that off and you can discard that. So once you do that, you just slide the sliders over. Okay, so after you move those sliders, also inside here, you're going to find just some brackets. Just pull those out. Put those aside for now. At the front, you'll notice two panels. So you can kind of pull these off, take the plastic off, and then put them back in. So this is like a little cleaning bay for when you have to clean your head. And then over here is for your capping station, same thing. They are magnetically held. So you can just pull those off, take the plastic off, and then of course put them back on. You can also pull the plastic off the top as well at this point. So the plastic just sort of comes right off here. Just peel it right back and right off. So moving over to the right side of the machine, you've got your stop button, your control panel, and then there's another door on this side. Again, just pushing down on this tab. It'll flick that out carefully, just pushing it to the back side to open it up. And then inside here is where your pumps are and stuff. So if you ever needed to change your pumps or anything, this is where the pumps are. So those are the regulating pumps right there for your inks and your waste tank. Moving to the back of the machine, you're going to have your hoses here. There may be filters attached to these that we add on, and I will show you that later, that we're going to connect all of the containers to. So that's what you'll be doing, as well as putting some back brackets on and stuff. You'll pull this out. Inside here, you've got your waste hose. So you're going to pull your waste hose out of the package here. Pull your waste hose out and run that into your waste tank at this time. And then in this package here is the Ethernet cord, and this is what plugs into your computer. So just take that out of the packaging and then run that to your PC or your laptop. This is your power switch, and then this is where your power cord goes into. Of course, your power cord comes in your supplies bag, so you'll find your power cord in there. And this is a 110 volt machine. So this is a 110 machine. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to be taking off the cover on your head to expose your dampers. So how we do this is you're going to pull off this panel. Again, it's magnetic, just pull it off. You're going to wind your capping station down, making sure that it clears the heads, and your wiper blade as well is clear. And once you have this all the way down, don't keep on winding. Once you feel a little bit of tension, stop, and that's enough, and you're clear to actually just move the head over at this point. So just kind of slide your head over into the middle to work. You're going to need a Phillips star head screwdriver, and you're going to be taking off 4 screws in total, 2 on this side and 2 on this side, and that will expose your dampers on your printer head. Okay, so when you're unscrewing these, you do not have to unscrew them all the way, just kind of unscrew it so there's a little bit of a gap and you can leave those inside. So get all 4 just unscrewed a little bit like that. And then at this point, you're able to just kind of just pull back and up a bit, and then just kind of, you can pull it right straight back. So just like that. And now you can take this off for now, put that aside, and now that exposes all of your dampers. Okay, so on each head you have 6 dampers. Your front one, of course, head 2, being head 2, is your white. And at the back, there's also 6 dampers on your head 1. And you've got 2 magenta and 2 cyan, and then 1 yellow and 1 black. Okay, so once you have your cover off and your dampers are exposed, we're going to put the printer head back to the capping station, but before we do so, we're going to fill that up and we're going to wet cap it in moisturizer. So just fill both of your capping stations, fill them both with moisturizer, and then just kind of slide this head back over it, having a look under here where you can see it line up with the heads, and you can slowly put this back up. And just before you get to the top, you're just going to move that and line it straight up with your heads. So we're just about there. You just want to adjust the head so it's right over the capping station, right like that. And then just continue to put it up into the head so it's keeping your head moisturized while you're doing all the work. So just put that up, up, up. You don't have to put it all the way up. Just put it up until your capping station shows about that much left. And it's nice and pressed onto your head. And it's wet capping right now, moisturizing your heads while we do the rest of the work. Okay, so next we're going to grab this piece here. And that goes onto the front of your machine. And that's your heating element there. Okay, so it's like a heat plate. So your front heat plate we're going to install now. So the things that you'll need for that are, you're going to pull out from your packaging that you get of screws. You've got 2 small screws. You're going to need an Allen key, and you're going to need a Phillips screwdriver for this. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take your Allen key and you're going to put it inside here, and you're going to loosen these. And not too much. I'll show you how much here. You just need enough to slide that plate under. So just kind of just turn it about 4 or 5 turns just to get it up like that. Do the same with the other. Just turning it up to be able to slide that panel underneath. So just kind of about 5 or 6 turns there, get it up. So now we got a little slit there that we can slide it under. And what you're going to want to do from this point is grab the heating plate. You're going to plug it in first. So take this and plug it into here. It only goes in one way, so you just kind of keep spinning until just keep spinning it around until it slides into place. Push it in and then spin this piece onto it to tighten it in. And it doesn't have to be too tight, just taut. Okay, just make sure it's nice and taut. And once you get it to that point, you're going to be lifting up and carefully pushing and sliding into those holes. So you push and slide into there. Get it slid in. So again, All we're doing is taking it and sliding it into those grooves, into the grooves on each side. Once you get it in there, then you're going to take your Allen key and tighten those down. Okay, so when you're tightening them down, use one hand and kind of push up on it to get it nice and tight against the machine. And then you're just going to tighten these two down. Again, not crazy tight, just nice and taut. Do the other one. Just tighten it up. That on. Make sure it's tight. In place there. And then the same with the bottom. This is where you're going to take your Phillips screwdriver and you take those two small screws and they're going to go in from underneath. So let me show you that. Okay, so from underneath you got the two screw holes now that you've got to put these screws into. So you take the two screws and you just twist and turn them into there and you get those nice and taut in there as well. And number two. Again, making sure it's not crazy tight, just nice and taut. And then once you get that in, that is your heating plate installed. Okay, so the next installation is going to be your back rollers. So you're going to need these two plates. You're going to need your rollers. And you're going to need these two brackets or long pieces that came with it as well. So the first thing we're going to install is these plates, and that's for the rollers. For this here, to hold the rollers, you're going to need your Allen key. Came with 6 Allen key screws, like that. And they will be going into here. One on this side and one on this side using these 3 holes. So 6 screws in total, 6 holes in total to put into. So let's get into that. One way. And as you're putting the first one in, the one by the hoses, you're going to want to make sure that you kind of pull this hose outwards so that it's not behind it like that. You want to kind of pull the hose out and put it in front of it. So when you're putting it on, the hose is able to come out like this and it's not stuck behind the plate. So just ensuring that this hose is in front of it. And then of course you're going to put in your screws. And screw those into place, nice and taut. Now don't screw the first one down fully. You got to be able to still move this around to get the other ones in. So just kind of get them in first. You kind of just get the screws in first before you tighten it down. And that way you can move the plate around as needed while you're getting them in. Get all 3. And just once all 3 are in, and now you can tighten those in place. And again, not too tight, just nice and taut. And again, doing the same with the other side, putting it in the only way it goes in to line up all 3 screw holes. Put your first one in to kind of steady it. And you can tighten it a little, and then you put your other 2 in. Okay, so once these are nice and taut, we're ready to put our bars in and then our roller holder as well. Okay, so for this part here, we're going to need the 2 bars. And what I like to do before I start is these are always screwed all the way in, so just unscrew them to where when you get over there to slide them in, you don't have to do it over there. Just pre-unscrew those. You don't do it all the way, just up to there on each one, so that you're able to slide those bars through. Make it nice and easy. All right, like that, and then we'll tighten it when we have to. Okay, so we're going to be putting the 2 bars in first on each side. You're going to have to unscrew these first. So take both of these nuts off and the washer. Again, on the other side, the nut and the washer, do not lose them. And what you're going to do is you're going to slide it into place. Okay, so once you put this side on, you don't put this side on right away. You're going to need your 2 bars ready. So on each side, it's going to have a nut and a washer. So take those off of both bars. And don't lose the nut or the washer. We're going to have to put those right back on. So now you don't have any nut or washer on each bar. And you're also going to grab these, ensuring that these are spun back. So make sure that this is spun back to where you can slide them in. Okay. We'll tighten those after. So you're going to need both of these and your bars at this point before we put on that other bracket. So what you want to do is sort of slide these into place here. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is make sure that this is facing upwards, your spinny thing, and you're going to stick your bars in to this side and just kind of slide it through a little bit, leaving yourself a bit of space there. So you can kind of put it in like that. And then what you're doing is sliding it in behind all the hoses, of course. And you're going to leave it like that for a second. And we're going to put the nuts in. Now you may have to move this white filter up a little bit to get that in. So just push the white filter up. Put your washers on each side. And then put your nuts in, but don't tighten them yet. We're just going to get them in place and ready. So just kind of get them on there. Remembering washer first, then nut. So get that on. Not too tight. We still got to be able to move it around a bit to play with it to get the other side on. Okay, so now that we've got these 2 nuts, washers, then nut in this side, we can kind of play with, not too tight, so we can still play with it a bit like this. You're going to take your other roller holder and you're going to slide it into the other side. So just slide it into place here. Just push it over a little bit for now. We can adjust it later. And then you're going to take your last bracket here at this point, and you're going to slide it into place, putting it through. And then of course you're going to grab your Allen key and you're going to put the bracket in now. So putting all 3 of these in and then tightening them down, and then we'll put the washer and the nut on the other side. Again, nice and taut. Put those 3 in. Okay, so once those 3 screws are in, nice and taut, then we can take our washers first, put those on the end. And you take your nut, slide it into place now. You can grab an adjustable wrench or something to tighten these down at this point. Oops. And then you tighten the nuts. Again, not too tight, just taut so it doesn't move around. Screw them in as far by hand as you can first, of course, and then tighten it down accordingly. Okay, and then once those are tightened down, and these are up to move these around still, you can adjust. Just put them aside for now. Until we're ready to put our roll in. Okay, so now that we have the back rollers installed to put the film on, now we're just gonna have, all we have left to put on is our ink containers. So we've got to install this next. So once you unwrap this, you can just take all of your ink containers and just set them aside. And you're just going to need this plate at this point, and then we'll install this first, and then we'll put the ink tanks into here after this is installed. So for this one here, to put this back piece on, you're going to need a Phillips, and you're going to need these screws, 4 of them. You got 4 holes on the plate. You're going to match and line those up with the holes here. At this point, you can push that tube down now. You push your white tube down. Just enough to get it to where you can work there. So push that down, so now you can put that plate on. So now what you're going to do is put that directly over and slide it down the back until you see those 4 holes lined up. And then of course you're going to put your screws in and then tighten those 4 in place. Just kind of get one in to get started. You can find it. Get it started, tighten it in a little bit, but not all the way, because you still want to be able to play a little bit. You got 1. 2. 3. And again, tightening them. Once you get 4 in, tighten it up. Don't have the 4th one, I dropped it and lost it somewhere, but 4. So tighten all 4 into place. Make sure it's nice and taut. Once those 4 screws are in place, you can put your white containers back in place. You can take these off at this point and then just slide them into place. Careful when you pull these off, just gently, because it does have a little nib there. You don't want to rip at it or break it off by accident. So just pulling off these foam styrofoam really nice and carefully. Then after you get these off, you can actually push, just place them inside. There's a little groove here, and this part here will fall into the groove so that the tanks just fall in nicely, like so. Oh, just need to put that screw in a little bit more. Maybe that's why they give you 3. Maybe you put the third one behind there, and now that'll hold the... Okay, so just push that into place. This one, the white one, might just take a little extra push. The screw's there, but it does fit into place. So once you get those into place, your ink tanks are ready to install the hoses into the ink tanks. Okay, so just grab some wire cutters at this point, take off that tie wrap, being very careful not to cut the hoses, only the tie wrap. So you take that off, and now all your hoses are exposed and they're ready to be installed into place. Make sure when you're putting these in, this white one, your white one goes on this end, so move everything over one. Again, the far one is kind of tough to put in, just give it a little extra push, it will slide into place, don't be afraid. So your white one will go on this end, just push that into place. So that way you have an intake and an out, you have an in and an out for your white. So one's going to go in here and to this side, and the other one is actually going to go into the top of your tank here. So I got the back roller on, all that installed. I got all the hoses exposed now with the container ready to rock, so I can put the hoses into the ink tanks. There's the roll that's going on there. And then I got the heat plate installed on the front. And then these little panels come off. And I got my head exposed with my dampers now, so. Okay, so to install the roll on your Mini, you're gonna have to start off by going to the front. There's going to be a switch here. You flick up on it. Oh, you flick down on it. So from here, you flick down, the rollers will go up, and now you're able to slide the film through. So when installing, make sure that your film is going in this way, in this way. You have this one already far over to the left. Just move this right one over. Doesn't have to be pushed all the way, just enough to get the roll actually inside and enough clearance to actually push it by it. And then you can push this one back into it. And then you squeeze on both sides to squeeze the ends into the roll as far as you can get them, nice and tight, right together. And then we're going to adjust this accordingly and put our film through. So you're going to want to take the edge of your film, take the edge, and you're going to slide it under this bar that's here. No, we're going to slide it. So you're going to slide it over the bar and straight through the back, right to the front. You kind of just keep sliding it through, and pushing it, and make sure it's even across so it goes right under the rollers. And then once you get it a bit under there, just keep sliding until it pushes through. Once you get it through to the other side, we'll come to the other side. Now we've got it through here. Let me get an angle with that button. So then what you do from this point is you're going to pull straight. once you have it pulled straight on each side, I will have an indicator here somewhere, or a piece of tape or something on the side to actually indicate where each edge will go. So I'll put some tape here or something, or I'll have something indicating exactly where to pull this through to. And then once you get it pulled, just pull the center taunt. Make sure it's nice. Just pull a little bit and then push up on this. And then it will push the rollers back down onto it. So now it is in place. Once it's in place, put your sliders just over the edges, over on each side. Always make sure your sliders are there so that your film's not popping up. Put your sliders on each side. And then after you get the placement here, you can come back to the back. Then you can come back to the back. You can actually tighten these down now so the roll doesn't move while you're printing. So you just make sure that it's nice and straight back here. On both edges of the film, there's nothing exceeding. It's nice and perfectly all tight together here, and one side's not off. And once it's nice and straight, just tighten these down. And that way your roller holders won't move around while it's printing. It'll stay perfectly straight now that these are down in place. Just make sure these are both nice and tight, and now our roll's in place and we're ready to go.